Hey guys, I am Trent for Trent Sense, and I am here to talk to all of you about my review of the dual portable GPS and battery cradle made for the iPod Touch. Over the years, in using a number of phones from different manufacturers, one of the first things that I would do is to seek out a GPS-enabled application that could trace my running route on my phone. Unfortunately, things hadn't worked out so well with the Captivate, so that is why I decided to review a GPS cradle that could work with my iPod Touch. Not only did you get a cradle that enabled GPS and battery charging, but you also got a car kit along with it to hook it to your windshield. I found that to be very convenient in order to have an alternative for GPS navigating on road trips. Now, as soon as I would be outside with the iPod Touch attached to the cradle in GPS mode and open up Google Maps, it always took maybe at least 2 or 3 tries before it would find my positioning on the street. It really wasn't too impressive, but it wasn't bad either. After my first time using Nike GPS, I did find that the results were extremely accurate. My route was traced all through the downtown Norfolk area and into other areas as well. Once you get a GPS lock with the cradle, it becomes extremely reliable. You have no need to worry about losing your signal or having it malfunction to lose your positioning. Even though everything happened to be peaches and cream when it came to using the cradle with the iPod Touch and the Nike GPS application, it was a different story for using it as a navigator in my car. I discovered that Dual actually took the time out to create a navigating application that was available through the Apple App Store. It turned out that the Cradle version that I had was the older XGPS 251 model. The only model that is compatible with the Dual navigation app is the newer XGPS 300 model. So I basically had no choice but to get rid of that as an alternative, and I had to go back to the App Store to look for other navigation apps. Even if you have access to mapping and navigation apps with this cradle on the iPod Touch, you still need to have a connection to a data network. If my iPod Touch was not connected to a Wi-Fi network, or if it didn't have a direct connection with a smartphone that enabled a Wi-Fi hotspot, I was basically stuck in the dark and out of luck. Even after I got data connectivity to the iPod Touch in the cradle to be able to use the Motion X app to the fullest extent, I was not impressed, especially in comparison to Google Navigation and OV Maps navigation. The simple thing of having vivid and clear graphics on a street map, it really didn't happen on Motion X, and I was quite surprised, to be honest with you. Even though the cradle ended up being a huge failure when it came to being a navigator in my car, it was still very reliable when it came to using Nike GPS on my runs through the neighborhood.
This is Lance Armstrong. Congratulations, you just recorded a new personal best for the 10K.
Alright, in regards to being a standalone product from Dual, I would have to say that the Cradle does have potential if you're trying to use only tracking applications such as Nike GPS or anything else that may happen to be out there via the Apple App Store. But on the other hand, if you're looking to use it as a GPS navigator in your car for driving, you may end up running into trouble if you don't have a constant connection with the data network. Another thing to keep in mind about the Cradle is that it does add a considerable amount of bulk to your iPod Touch. In the beginning, when I would run with it in my hand, I think it was more of a honeymoon period, and I was excited to finally be able to use GPS tracking again. But after a while, I got tired of the added bulk. I got tired of feeling like I was holding a brick. Not only was the iPod Touch made to be much bulkier, but it was more fragile as well. I was scared to death of dropping that Cradle and the iPod Touch because there was no sort of protection whatsoever to keep either of them from being scratched up in the case of a fall. There was also the hassle of having to charge it in addition to my iPod Touch. You know, at the end of the run, I would come home, connect my iPod Touch to my computer to get it charging, and then I also had to use a separate adapter to charge the Cradle. One more thing to remember is that if you are looking to buy a Cradle for your iPod Touch, be sure to go for the most recent version, which is the XGPS 300. Otherwise, you're not going to be compatible with the navigation app created by Dual. With all of that being said, I want you guys to stay tuned for the next episode. And all of you guys take care and stay safe.